Good evening and welcome to the North Metro Mayors Association's Legislative Candidate Forum. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Ryan Sabas. I'm the Mayor of Champlin, and I will be moderating this evening's forum. The North Metro Mayors Association was created in 1987 as a nonpartisan organization advocating for issues and opportunities of importance to the North Suburban region of the Twin Cities. I'd like to thank the North Metro Mayors Association for coordinating and sponsoring this forum. And thanks to the candidates joining us tonight for making this event possible. Thank you to Champlin for hosting us this evening and QCTV for recording and airing this forum. Our goal tonight is to give residents a chance to learn about the candidates' ideas and positions on issues important to the future of our communities and the North Metro region. We'll ask 4 prepared questions with rotating response order and set time limits. We regret we can't cover every issue of interest tonight due to time constraints. Before we begin, the candidates flipped a coin to determine speaking order. I'm pleased to introduce the candidates for House District 34A, Jason Heaser and Danny Nadeau. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Jason Heaser will go first, followed by Danny Nadeau. All yours, Jason.
Thanks very much, Ryan. And thank you to North Mayor Metros Association for putting this together. Thank you, Danny, for being here and giving us the opportunity to share our ideas and our vision for the future together. I'm running for Minnesota House here in 34A because I believe in the opportunity that this community has. I believe in the opportunity that this country has, ultimately because I've lived it. At one point in my life, I was living in an apartment where we kept track of how many mice we killed. I was a college dropout at the time. I was eating ramen for almost every meal. And I was working third shift in a bottle factory. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I went active duty in the Army, and I found myself. And through the opportunities that this country and the community I had gave me, I am now able to say that I go out to greater Minnesota and I prosecute homicides and sexual assault cases, and I'm able to bring justice to victims who otherwise might not have been able to receive the full measure of justice. And I was able to do that through hard work, yes, but also the opportunity that this country provides and that our communities provide and give us to continue to move forward. And I think all of our members, all of our constituents, all of our residents deserve those opportunities. And I want to continue to work hard to give those opportunities to individuals. And ultimately, I want to protect the people of this area and this state. I want to protect their pocketbooks. I want to provide principled leadership. And I want to progress beyond the misinformation and the divisive ideologies that we continue to see so much of. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Next, Danny Nadeau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank the Northwest Mayors Association as well. It's good to be back in Champlin. And I've been honored to represent this area for the past 4 years. And my background is really, it started in small business and it ended up being in government. And for the last number of years, I've worked at Hennepin County. Prior to that, I was at the Minnesota Department of Commerce working in the state energy office. Prior to that, I was in the Legislative Research Department, and then I was a city manager. So it's actually fun to get back to Champlin, and there's some parks that I've built up in this community long ago. I'm running again, and I thought hard about it, but I'm running again because Minnesotans deserve fearless leaders who are willing to stand up against the divisiveness and against the ideologies that are just so in our faces today. And for the last 4 years, that's what I've done. And it's easy to stand up, against an opposing party. It's much more difficult to stand up against some of the extremes in your own party, and that's why I'm running. And I was if I'm not the most, I'm actually one of the most bipartisan members of the legislature, and I'm really proud of the legislation that we worked on together with people across the aisle, with local units of government, because that's what it's gonna take today. Funding issues are complex. The issues that we address at the legislature are really hard. And if you go to the legislature with a set idea or a set bias, you're not going to get anything done. And so my job is to bring people together, not only from the community, but also on the other side of the aisle, and find that common ground. I started the Suburban Solutions Caucus that allows us to talk about those issues that affect the suburbs a little bit more differently than some of the other areas, and I just appreciate being here tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you both Jason and Danny for your opening statements. We will now move on to prepared questions in rotating order with an optional rebuttal. Each candidate has 2 minutes to answer. After both have answered, each candidate will be offered an optional 45-second rebuttal. And we'll go to Jason for the first question. What are the top 1 or 2 issues you hear while campaigning? And if elected, what will you do to ensure the 2027 legislature works in collaboration way with the governor and the community to address those issues?
Well, I gotta say, I don't know if it's just because it's in the news so much or it's just on people's minds all the time, but fraud obviously is the number one thing that I'm hearing in the plurality of what I'm hearing on the doors. I've talked to over 700 people on the doors, knocked 3,000 of them so far. And that's not the majority of people, but that's definitely been out there quite a bit. And as a prosecutor, I'm furious about it. The fact that so many people, at the end of the day, fraudsters and individuals who took money from us are criminals. And they need to be prosecuted as such. And we need to ensure that our law enforcement and every measure from the prosecution all the way through has sufficient resources to do that. But I'll tell you another thing that has also been on the doors is just cost of living. And it's too damn expensive out there right now. Not just, people talk about property taxes, sure, but price of gas, price of health insurance, price of childcare, all of that. And those are things that we need to continue to focus on and find ways that we continue to aid individuals who are hurting. And I appreciate that a lot of times we just look at government from the perspective and, okay, we can just cut some funding from here and we can cut some issues from here, but we have to look beyond that. We have to look at ways that we can bring in additional revenue. And so many times I see money going from us outside of our communities out to entities outside of Minnesota. And so I want to protect as much as we can the efforts and the fruits of our labors and keep them here in our communities.
Thank you, Jason. Danny, same question. What are the top 1 or 2 issues you hear while campaigning? And if reelected, what will you do to ensure that the 2027 legislature works in a collaborative way with the governor and the community to address those issues?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. I'm going to continue to do what I have been doing for the past 4 years, which is reaching across the aisle and finding common ground. That's what it's going to take. And it's, John Hoffman and I, Senator Hoffman, and he'll be here a little bit later, we don't agree on every issue. Not by a long shot, but you know what? Where we find common ground, we do work together, and that's not common in the legislature. You've got one side of the aisle that thinks they have all the answers. You got the other side of the aisle that thinks they have all the right answers, and it boils down to who has the majority, and that's not serving people. It's when at the doors, yeah, I mean, of course I hear fraud. I mean, you hear all these things. I mean, it's billions and billions of dollars, and people argue whether it's 1 or 2 or 5, but it's with a B. And we can prosecute, and we should prosecute. We better prosecute. But before that, we need to prevent these things that are happening, because every one of these dollars that are lost are not going to the families that we want to serve and the populations that we care about. But more importantly than that, at the doors, and I've knocked over 8,000 doors, and every election cycle I hit between 10 and 12,000, and it's hard. It's a lot of work. But what I hear almost every single door is, why can't you get along with the other side? Why can't you find common ground? And that, if we can't do that, it doesn't matter. It's just if the Democrats are in charge one session, this is gonna happen. Taxes are gonna go up, we're gonna do whatever. If Republicans are in charge, then this is gonna happen. So we need to find that longitudinal path where you build relationships, you build trust, you build some camaraderie, and you find that space to get things done. And hopefully, I'm running out of time, but I'll use the HCMC example at some point in time in here, because that's a great example of the two parties and people working together.
Well, we have a chance for rebuttal here for either of you. Jason, I'll offer you a 45-second rebuttal to that question, or any of Danny's answers if you'd like.
No, I think there's some good points that Danny brings up. I think one of the most important things that we can do to serve the individuals that we have in our area is to be open to new ideas, is make sure that we're looking outside of the echo chambers. You know, I wore the red, white, and blue on my shoulder for 22 years, and I didn't sign up when I was 17 to serve Democrats. I didn't sign up to serve Republicans. I signed up to serve the American people, and I think it's imperative. As a prosecutor, I can't think of a more combative or adversarial process than when I'm trying to put someone in prison and the defense counsel is trying to keep them out of prison. And yet, it's my role in those situations to find a negotiation that is ultimately best for the community. And the community doesn't win if I go to trial just to get a W. That's not how we get to where we want to be. I need to sit down with the victim. I need to make sure that their family is taken care of and work together. Absolutely.
Thanks, Jason. Danny, would you like a chance at a rebuttal?
Yeah, and thank you for your service, truly. It's, you know, in Minnesota, we don't have a revenue problem in Minnesota. We don't. We have a spending priorities problem. And that's one of the other things that we hear at the doors all the time. It's about, you know, it's the cost of living, and we don't get to control gas and groceries. That's not something that state legislators get to do. But you know what? We do have an impact on property taxes. We do have an impact on income taxes. We do have an impact on making sure that we can deliver services efficiently and safely. And that's where we can find the common ground and get things done.
All right, thank you both for that first question. We're going to flip the order. Danny, you're going to get to go first on this one. What transportation infrastructure priority in your district or the broader North Metro region do you think deserves more attention at the state level, and why do you see it as important to the region?
There's a couple of things, and I'm gonna try to hit all of them in 2 minutes. So the turnback policy is something that really needs to be worked on between the state and the counties and cities. In Rogers, there's turnback issues with Main Street. Also, you know, something that's really overlooked right now is the interchange at 101 and Main Street and 94 in Rogers. The I-94 Transportation Coalition has kind of addressed that, but we need to. We lost some funding because of a pedestrian ramp. We lost some funding because the structure of the bridge wasn't able to withstand it. So we need to get that front and center. Regional conductivity in Northwest Hennepin. I mean, our district is the fastest growing district in the state of Minnesota. Fastest, by far. And we need to make those investments coming into this district. One of the big things that is a success is that, you know, the Mississippi River crossing. I mean, it's a little bit of a controversial topic in the city of Dayton, but the only way to get across the river, you know, currently is either going to Rogers or going on 169. And all of you who have been on those roads know how awful that is. So having that regional connectivity is important. And then the other thing that I think that the legislature can do is do some work on, you know, the funding partners that, you know, that build our roads and bridges. The counties play a part. Met Council plays a part. Federal government plays a part. Gas taxes play a part. You know, it's easy to introduce a bill in the legislature, you know, and hopefully, and work hard, you know, it's easy to introduce it. It's hard to get it passed. But it's easy to do that and get, you know, a little bit of money for an interchange or for a bridge. But the supporting infrastructure around that massive, you know, that bridge, for example, is incredible. And we don't fund that. That's left to local, you know, units of government. So I think there's a lot of work that we can do in that regard too.
Thanks, Danny. Jason, same question. What transportation infrastructure priority in your district or the broader North Metro region do you think deserves more attention at the state level, and why do you see it as an importance to the region?
Well, I think there's a couple different things that we got to look at there. First off, we can look at large, you know, multi-decade-based projects such as a bridge and that sort of thing. We do have to ensure before we're looking at that, and maybe this is where you're getting, Danny, but we have to kind of backpedal it. You know, I've had conversations with people that live on Dayton River Road that moved there because it was a field that they couldn't grow anything in. And so they put houses on it, and there were a few trees and that sort of thing, and you'd have a car go by one every 10 minutes or so. And now and then it was one every 5 minutes, and one every 2 minutes, and now it's just constant. And the 50-mile-per-hour speed limit in there, it's just, the road noise changes how people live their lives in their homes. And so it's not just, looking at the interchange, it's not just looking at the bridge, but how are we going to help these individuals live in this area? The town I grew up in had 2 bars and a church, and the church is closed and the 2 bars are doing just fine. But back in the day, about 50, 60 years ago, we lost 20% of our population in that little town because they decided to put a 4-lane highway through most of the town. And, my grandparents' house, gone. The church, the school that my dad first started in school, that thing's gone. And bartending as a kid, as a teenager, you'd hear people tell stories about it, right? Now, I'm not saying that we don't need to move these projects forward. We have to, I use it to highlight the gravity that we have to look at these situations, because these are people's lives and these are people's homes that we're looking at not only uprooting the home, but changing the way that they are going to be living within their homes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, right, I can't tell you what your priorities are, right? This has to be I need to be able to listen to you and learn from you what is the areas in the North Metro Mayor's Association, what your focuses are. I can sit here and say these are the things I think are great all day long, but ultimately, you and I just met tonight, and you know what? We should have met before that, and I apologize, and I'm sorry. But moving forward, I can promise you that if I'm elected or moving forward, either way, we're going to have more of a conversation on that, and we're going to be able to build on what is most important in your community in Dennis, and what's important out in Dayton, and what's important in Rogers as well. So, because it's not about me, it's about you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason. We will offer again a rebuttal to this question, 45 seconds if you'd like. We'll go with Danny.
Thank you. I'm going to use the 45 seconds to talk about the process that it takes to get one of these projects in place. So the bill that we drafted and got passed this year was $2.9 million to do the environmental impact statement, to do the original alignment, to look at the corridor. If we don't identify the corridor theoretically in this case in Dayton, as that community develops, and there's nothing that the city can do to stop it unless they put a moratorium in place, they lose the opportunity to provide that regional connectivity. And so this money will actually hire the engineer. They will start doing the studies, start looking at the alignment, and look at how it's going to attach with Ramsey. It'll look at the traffic studies to try to lessen the impact on the surrounding community, in broader than just in Dayton, but in Champlin and Maple Grove and Rogers as well.
Thanks, Danny. Jason, would you like a rebuttal?
One of the other projects, we talk so much about residential and how it impacts from a residential standpoint, but big things out in Dayton, and particularly in Dayton, is one of the major tax revenues out there is actually industrial. And so I'd like to see a little bit more attention placed on the rail line that actually connects out to Dayton and Rogers and that industrial areas out there.
Sounds good. All right, we will go to question number 3. Jason, you'll lead this one off.
Okay.
The North Metro competes globally for businesses and workers alike. What policies would you support, whether focused on business growth, workforce, and labor needs, or both, to help this region attract and retain them?
Well, Ryan, there's a reason that when you're looking and you're driving through areas where they're starting to spring up all these developments, especially out in the Dayton area, that they put the school district that the school is part of, that division is part of. And that's because the main thing that people, and they're moving to this area, are looking at is the schools. They want education. They want their kids to have a greater opportunity for education and to be able to get ahead. And ultimately, that helps breed a competent workforce for businesses. It really is the silver bullet that helps everybody from that perspective. And so we need to ensure from a state level that we're funding education in the maximum amount that we can as a state, that we're providing the capital investments, for instance, Southern Rogers, where they're reaching capacity. In Okehennepin, there's been times in the Okehennepin School District where they've had basically temporary housing shelters to put kids in because they've been so desperate for space. And that's just unacceptable. We need to ensure that those decisions get to the voters and they can make those decisions. And that's ultimately, it may not be a decision on us. That's a decision ultimately for the school district, from the individuals that live there. But we as leaders have a responsibility to step up and say at times, especially when there's a group of individuals that have so much behind them that they're able to put something forward in the form of this is what we want and this is what we should do, then we should allow the voters to actually speak to it. And the last thing, from a small business perspective, I think we're just daggone regulated too much sometimes. I talked to a gentleman who runs a food truck, and he's got multiple different state agencies he's got to clear his food truck through. He's got every city that he wants to go into, he's got to clear his food truck through. This guy's spending more time filling out forms than cooking barbecue at this point. So we need to stovepipe and streamline our regulation system at the state level, and that's something that we can do.
Thanks, Jason. Danny, same question. The North Metro competes globally for businesses and workers alike. What policies would you support, whether focused on business growth, workforce and labor needs, or both, to help this region attract and retain them?
Yeah, and I think Jason's right in some cases. He talked a lot about education, which is a big component. But you know, you look at what the suburbs are doing. You look at what's happening in Minneapolis and some of the first-ring suburbs and what we're doing. Graco moved from northeast Minneapolis out to Dayton and Rogers. Helene, you know, built their massive solar panel production facility in Rogers, and they did that because they have stable lease rates. They can expand. There's an environment out here that says, you know what? If you're a small business, if you're a big business, come out here. We want you. We want employers. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. We have a huge workforce problem in Minnesota, and it's going to get worse and worse. This is the first time ever we have more people over the age of 65 than we have under the age of 5. All right, we've got I don't remember how many, 400,000, job openings are in something. Don't quote me on that. It's a big number in Minnesota right now that aren't being filled. That people aren't qualified, and we've got this environment that is really difficult on small businesses. The regulations are massive. In the DFL trifecta, they passed the Paid Medical Family Leave Act, which is fine, great benefit. But there's 13 states that have paid medical family leave. 13. We're the only state that has 20 weeks. The biggest one is Washington, and that had 13 weeks, and they had to pump $360 million into that program on year 2. So these are barriers to small employers being able to be there. Number one, we need to carve out small employers. City councils are eligible for paid medical family leave in Minnesota. I mean, when you just pass a bill without looking at its implementation and trying to exempt some of these things, this one-size-fits-all thing doesn't work at all. So we need to focus on those things that we know small businesses need. Lower regulation, create incentives where necessary, and get out of their way in many cases.
All right. Well, we have our rebuttal here if you'd like. Jason, we'll start with you.
I appreciate that, Ryan. I think we're good.
Okay. Danny, would you like a rebuttal?
No, I talked enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to question number 4, and we'll start with Danny again on this one. This is an ongoing debate about whether numerous housing and zoning decisions should be set by the state or left to local city governments. Where do you come down on this question, and why?
Yeah, this is hard, and we deserve more than 2 minutes on this one. I'm a local government. I was a city manager. I came from local government. We build people in Champlin, Rogers, Dayton. They spend years and decades building a community that they want. They plan for growth. They look at where it's going to be. They already have to deal with the Met Council coming in and saying, you know what, we want you to change this. We want you to look at something else and something differently. The bill that I think that you're talking about is there was a bill that was out there that said, every residential property is going to have a right. We're going to remove local government's ability to zone. Every property has a right to at least be a quad, a 4 units on one parcel. And, the state, that bill was like the state was going to say this. We were going to preempt local gov from being able to stop that. And, that was an extreme measure, and I'm glad we did stop that one. But the other thing is that what happened a couple years ago is, the legislature overreacted to a group home issue and, eliminated local government's ability to use their rental licensure to regulate group homes. And that is a big issue in some of these cases. The city of Brooklyn Park has over 500. I don't remember how many Champlin has now. But, so we can't just step in and all of a sudden tell local gov that they're not going to be able to do certain things. We need to work together. We need to listen to people, recognize that, if we don't do this, there's going to be other impacts, either higher taxes, more law enforcement, more ambulance services, more healthcare issues that are going to come from, concentrated areas of group homes. But no, I'm a big local gov supporter, and it's these communities get to decide the future of their cities.
As mayor, this is an interesting question. So, thanks, Danny. Jason, same question. There's an ongoing debate about whether numerous housing and zoning decisions should be set by the state or left to local city governments. Where do you come down on that question, and why?
I can tell you where I come down right now. So one of the interesting things about being a prosecutor is that I don't just get to go in a courtroom and say I really feel like this guy's guilty. I have to present evidence. I have to put experts forward in order to convince the jury that the person that I'm accusing of a crime has actually committed the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. And one of the things going into this from the legislature standpoint is that I refuse to make any broad decisions, particularly without seeing as much evidence as I possibly can that would be able to convince me one way or another on something. Now, what I can say is that I also am very for local government. I think it's incredibly frustrating to have someone else come in and tell you how to run your town. I think that it belittles the electoral process within the smaller communities. I think one of the issues that people have with the Met Council is that it's an appointed board essentially telling elected individuals what to do. And I think if we looked at restructuring that to a voted-in position, then that is something that may be able to find more acceptable in the communities, because then you're actually having voters speak to the future of that council and speak to how it is going to impact individuals. But ultimately, when we talk about outside influence, we have to be honest that it's not just government influencing things, right? It is one of the other areas that we can impact from a statewide perspective is to control the amount of private equity that the amount of control private equity has in the real estate market and the infrastructure market as well. These are essentially outside companies that are coming in that have corporate headquarters who knows where, and that are basically setting rental prices and setting land prices within our communities. And they're not living here. They're not telling us how to do it. They're not driving up and down the roads that we are. They don't know what the priorities are. And so keeping as much of the decision-making authority with the voters and with the people who live here, that's my priority.
All right. Again, we'll have a rebuttal to this one if you would like. Danny, 45 seconds.
Yeah, and thank you. It's, and it goes back to the previous question, is having an environment for small businesses. 25 years ago, we had hundreds of small individual home builders. Hundreds. And today we don't really have any. And, if we do, they're building, one or two, $2 million houses a year. But we have multinational, companies that are coming in, and they've got a lot of power. And, I don't know whether or not it's private equity or not, but, we've created a business climate. We've made policy decisions over the past 20 years in Minnesota that have literally driven down the ability for small businesses to thrive, especially, where cities can actually negotiate with smaller builders to make sure that they're getting the products that they need.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Danny. Jason, rebuttal?
Yeah, I hate to agree again, I don't know. But in the instance of, the amount of power that we're seeing mega corporations have over it is astounding. We talk about the rise in prices, the difference in going to Buffalo Wild Wings now versus Buffalo Wild Wings 10 years ago before it was bought out, or Panera or any of these other food industries, you know it when you go in. And you see it in businesses, and you see it where they're not being beholden to the gentleman I talked to, he wants to serve good barbecue, and that's what he wants to put his attention to, right? He's not worried about stockholders. He's not worried about, he's just trying to pay his workers a fair wage, and he's trying to make a little bit of living for himself so his family can have a good living. And those are the individuals we need to focus on, and not curtailing and giving so much away to megacorps.
Thank you both. And it's okay to agree, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that concludes our questions. We'll now move on to closing statements, where both of you will have a 1 minute maximum per candidate. So Jason, you went first in the opening statement, so you'll go first in the closing statement. If you'd please provide your closing statement now.
All right. At the end of the day, I'm a parent, I am a spouse. I am a career prosecutor. I'm a veteran. I didn't get into this because I wanted political anything. At the end of the day, I'm retired. I did 22 years in the Army and another 10 years as a prosecutor so far. I began doing this, and I continue to do this because I think I'm the best person to bring that aspect of hope, that aspect of agreeability, that kindness that we need a little bit more attention of. I talked about 2 bars in church. That church that I grew up in is closed now. But that lesson, that greatest lesson that I learned there, that you treat others the way you want to be treated. I think that continues to guide who I am and the actions that I have forward. And treating our neighbors and continuing to give the best that I can and this community can give the rest of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Danny, closing statement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you again. It's been an honor, and it is an honor to serve this district. This is a district that is really half Republican, it's half Democrat, as the way people, kind of align. We've got a lot of teachers in this district. We've got a lot of nurses. We've got a lot of middle management government workers in this district. The needs of this district are very different than, so many others. And we're not going to be successful in the legislature, regardless of who we elect, until we find ways to align ourselves with what people are looking for today. They don't want the extremes. If you poll 95% of all Americans polled say they want people to get along with one another, to find that common ground, find common sense solutions. And that's what I've done in the legislature. That's what I will continue to do down at the legislature. I will always push back on the extremes and focus on the people of this district. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you both. This brings us to the close of tonight's forum for the House District 34A. I'd like to thank both of our candidates, Jason and Danny, the North Metro Mayors Association and the City of Champlin and QCTV for making tonight's event possible. Please remember to vote on or before Tuesday, November 3rd. Thank you.